Ahoy! I'm John Hambone McGuire. Welcome to Rats Chat. Today, I'm joined by Craig Campbell, who is here to chat us up a little bit about Slay to Win, tell the story, fight the monsters, steal the glory. It's live on Kickstarter right now, and Craig is from Nerd Burger Games. How you doing today?
Pretty good, John. Thank you for having me on the show.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure. Before we get started, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about who you are and what you're all about?
Sure. My name's Craig Campbell, and I own Nerdburger Games and design and publish role-playing games and supplements and accessories and things through that. I kind of started with a smattering of freelancing, primarily for D&D, which is unsurprising given my age and like a lot of people kind of have dipped their toes in D&D at some point. And there came a point where I decided, well, I'll try to make a role-playing game of my own. And so I kickstarted one called Murders and Acquisitions. That happened, and that just kind of snowballed into all sorts of other games and accessories and whatnot. And a couple of years ago, I was like, I should make a card game. But because I am who I am, I wanted to make it kind of a hybrid of kind of a monster fighting game, but also have a role play aspect to it. So that's what Slay to Win is, and that's me. That's what I do.
And that's interesting that you say that, like bringing the role playing aspect to the card game, because I've tended to find in the hobby that a lot of people are very, we play card games, we play tabletop RPGs, and the two shall never meet. So trying to find a way to bring them both together. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, what is that process like for you? Because you are trying to bridge a well-known gap in the hobby.
The approach that I took was let's make the card game relatively simple and accessible and something that people can kind of latch on to. So it doesn't have like, it's not something that you're going to have to learn like hundreds of different cards. There's not like this incredible amount of nuance that goes into the play. There's there's some of that to it. The game isn't like super simple. And then like for the role play side, it was kind of the same thing. Like let's introduce a basic story element to the game and set people up to be able to role play, but keep it light and keep it basically like in the rule book, it says on a couple of different occasions that you can role play as much or as little as you want. There's even a variant in there. If you are not interested in the role play side of thing at all, you can kind of do things a little differently and just, run around and fight monsters um, with your party. And then the conceit of the game is, and this comes out in the card game playing aspect of it, and then also can come out in the role playing of it, is you're a party of adventurers. There's monsters all over the kingdom that are threatening people. So you go out to take those monsters out, to get rid of those, to save the kingdom. But each of you also secretly wants very, very badly to go down in history as the greatest monster hunter ever. So you do that by dealing as many of the killing blows as possible. So you work hard, the mechanics kind of give you the opportunity to try to do that, but then you can also role play that kind of intra-group rivalry.
Which is fun because generally when you tell a person who's not in the hobby, who understands board games, I mean, people have been playing board games since Christ left Pittsburgh. However, when you tell a person who's outside the hobby, oh, I play Dungeons and Dragons, which is the eponym for all role playing games, or I play this, I play that, and they go, oh, okay, so like, how do you play? How do you win? And you're like, one does not win at a tabletop RPG. So I think it's pretty fun that you found a way to kind of make it so you can actually win while playing a tabletop RPG. And the way you did that was marrying it to a card game. And the card game it's all in one, right? Everything you need is right in the box.
Yeah, everything's in the box. There is a randomized element to the game, but it's all within the cards, so you don't need dice, you don't need note paper and pencil or anything to keep track of everything. Like you're building your character entirely with cards. All the monster stuff is with cards. There's no GM, so everybody's playing a character, and the game just has a structure built that is kind of you're going to have some drama scenes, which is where your role play lives. And during those drama scenes, that's the opportunity for you to draw cards and build up your hand and gain weapons and action cards. And then you'll use those during the fight scene. So you'll have some drama, some fight, some drama, some fight, some drama, some fight, and that's a game.
Very cool, and it doesn't take long to play, right? The gameplay is, I'm looking at the Kickstarter right now, and it says about 20 to 40 minutes. So that's, I think, a cool way to get people engaged is that you're not taking 3 hours to play the game. In 3 hours, you can play this game three times and have three wildly different outcomes.
You can play it as like one game where you're going to, just go on one story, and whoever has the most trophy points from dealing those killing blows to monsters at the end of the game is the winner, ostensibly, right? You could also play it like, as RPG players know, there's a campaign where you could decide we're going to, as a group, play 5 stories, and we're going to go through all 5 of those, and whoever has the most trophy points at the end of all 5 is the winner. But then that gives you more opportunity to role play. You can build up to it. It's a little less dire if you have a bad game where you don't manage to score any trophy points or very few. So you can always come back in later stories, later game sessions. And you could conceivably play all those back to back to back if you wanted to, or you could kind of spread it out over time. The idea was that, like, here's this game. It's all in a box. You could carry it in your pocket or a bag. You can bust it out at lunch. You can, play it before you play your, dive into your larger kind of board game night or role play night. It's a good pickup game at a convention, that sort of thing.
And because of the card element of it, no two games will ever be alike. Um,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's fun.
There's a great deal of randomization to that. There's 10, like for your characters, there's 10 class cards and 10 quality cards. And a quality is essentially an adjective. So you might be like a perceptive knight, but combine all of those 10 qualities with 10 classes, and you've got, plenty of opportunities for different types of characters. And then of course, when you're playing, there's 10 different stories that you can be playing through. There's lots of different monster combinations. And then your hand of action cards is going to change constantly. And like what do they say? If you have a deck of 52 playing cards, the number of possible combinations of cards of the order of cards is greater than the number of stars in the known universe.
Wow. So we're gonna wrap this up real quick. Slay to Win right
Mhm.
now is on Kickstarter. By the time this episode airs, you'll still be within a reasonable amount of time to back Slay to Win. Any final thoughts you have on this game before we go home on this episode?
I'll throw this out there for people, like we talked about a little bit before we started chatting in front of everybody too. Like the economy is in a weird place right now. And that has put a lot of Kickstarters in a weird place, including mine. And so to reassure people who are wondering, like, well, am I going to suddenly get charged a bunch of extra money? Um, because I know that's a real concern among people that are backing Kickstarters and backer kit campaigns right now, is I've got 3 different manufacturers lined up, and I'm going to choose which one I use to actually produce the game based on what the situation is when I'm ready to place the order. So it's a volatile situation, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that this doesn't like blow up in my face financially. And I'm certainly not going to be passing the buck along to people who have backed the game. So like, $25 and plus shipping is going to get you the game. That's all there is to it. Like I've made that promise myself. I'm not going to I'm doing absolutely everything I can to make sure that this doesn't bite anybody in the ass.
Well, very cool. Craig, where can they find your games on the internet?
Sure. I am at Nerdburger Craig on various social media. My website is nerdburgergames.com. There's a web store there that has several of the games, like the hardcovers, like the really nice, fancy hardcovers that you can get there. And then everything is at Drive-Thru RPG, so PDFs and print-on-demand books there. It's worth noting that at nerdburgergames.com, the books that are there are the same price as the print-on-demand book at Drive-Thru RPG. So if you want like the really nice, like this has got a sewn binding and it's nicer paper and richer color and all that sort of thing, you can pick it up from there, and you'll get it shipped to you faster than if you have to wait for it to be printed on demand.
Well, very cool. Craig, thanks for joining me today. Rats Chat, wrapping up once again. Sewer Rats out of the sewer and into an RPG store near you. There'll be links to everything in the show notes for this episode. If you find yourself around the backer kit July 1st, myself and Levi Combs will be launching Days of Future Fairhaven for WHPA Fairhaven Weird Heroes of Public Access. It is going to be a real wild ride for WHPA. It's a third-party publication. Click the link in the show notes to get notified now. Until next time, remember to enjoy every sandwich, and may you always find an onion ring in your french fries. Take care.